Hello everyone, Roar the Fiend here. I'm back after a needed break and I return excited to look at Sinnoh's Gym Leaders and improve upon them. For clarity, this is more so, let's tune up the difficulty of these boss battles to a hypothetical hard mode. Let's give the seasoned players, such as myself, a challenge, without overdoing it. Gen 4 introduced and updated many mechanics that modernized the series, and geared it towards competitive play in mind, such as the physical special split. No longer is Fire Punch Alakazam a serious thing. Moves like U-Turn, Brave Bird, Close Combat, Grass having actual decent stab options, the introduction of many held items such as the Life Orb, Choice Specs, and Scarf, the Metronome, which Pokemon Showdown programmed incorrectly for many years, and how about the Quick Claw? That's not Gen 4, but I want to point out, Gen 4 is the only generation where it is banned by Smogon. Tangenting a bit here, but yeah, Gen 4 is really interesting and has a lot to offer in terms of theory crafting, so let's get into it. Also, after you've watched, if you've enjoyed, feel free to give the video a like, and even subscribe if you haven't already. It'll let me know I'm doing something right. The first gym leader, Roark, specializes in rock types? The third gym leader in 4 generations to specialize in them? I've said it before, but while having Rock be Gym 1 can help make clear to the player how type matchups affect a battle, it makes these battles completely one-sided if you pick the water or grass starter. And since this is meant to be a hard mode, no matter who your starter is, you should face some pushback. Anyway, Roark works in the Orberg mines as their safety supervisor, except he allows any old trainer to waltz in there, so not exactly doing his job up to code, I'd say. Upon defeating him, he admits to feeling embarrassed, losing to a trainer with no badges. Look Einstein, you're the first gym leader, that's how it works. You've annoyed me enough, Roark. Let's see how your team fares and maybe you can win me back over. He leads with Geodude at level 12, with the Rock Head ability knowing Rock Throw and Stealth Rock. 3 for 3 on Rock Gym Leaders, leading with Geodudes. They have good attack and defense, but will crumble to a single elemental hit from either Piplup or Turtwig. I don't mind how stripped down this moveset is. 1 stab attack and Stealth Rock is fine for the lead. Not many things resist Rock either. I think the only way would be to catch a Geodude of your own, or use Machop to the route north of the city. Seeing a hazard setting lead to start off the playthrough is pretty bold of Game Freak, and I'm always a fan of this strategy, but at the end of the day, it will probably get one shot. But that's what we expect from a Gym 1 lead Geodude. Second out is Onix at level 12, with Rock Head, knowing Rock Throw, Screech, and Stealth Rock. Similar thoughts here, though with Onix's low attack but solid speed for early game, it makes Screech appreciated. Not going to be a sweeper, but basically guaranteeing an attack off gives it a leg up over Geodude, considering that Piplup and Turtwig will ruin their day. So far identical Pokemon to Brock's, but Roark has a trick up his sleeve with his ace. Cranidos at level 14, with Mold Breaker, knowing Headbutt, Pursuit, and Leer. With an attack stat equal to Gyarados, this is a menace. While frail on both sides of the spectrum, it has an above average HP stat, along with only being 2 times weak to grass and water, so it can tank better than Onix and Geodude. Something also to point out is its speed stat, base 58, and looking into the trainer data, it's Jolly, which is plus speed. This to me suggests a very subtle balancing attempt against the 3 starters. Turtwig is base 31 speed, Piplup base 40, so except for overleveling, Cranidos should outspeed them. But with Chimchar, or more likely Monferno as it evolves at level 14, that has a base speed of 81, so they should outspeed Cranidos. And Headbutt further punishes them thanks to the 30% flinch chance. Hold up, I can stretch this out to a separate 30-minute video, the subtle balancing of Pokemon Platinum and Knuckles. Pursuit itself isn't really needed, but slightly outdamages on selected matchups. All in all, I really like Cranidos. Here's Roark's team. Bog standard for the first 2 Pokemon, though I appreciate Stealth Rocks as an opener. But the real moneymaker is Cranidos, the saving grace of his team. It really feels like the devs were baiting you into thinking this would be a generic Rock Gym Leader fight, only to be blown away with Headbutt from essentially a Gyarados. It's always nice being able to highlight the positives with these teams, but with that said, for hard mode we can take this further. Roark's new lead is Bonsly at level 12 with Sturdy, holding an Oran Berry and knowing Rock Throw, Low Kick and Stealth Rock. With similar stats to Geodude's, but lacking quad weaknesses and with slightly higher HP and special defense, it's actually realistic for this guy to not be one-shot by water or grass attacks. It's the same moveset as Geodude 2, with the addition of Low Kick. Yeah, it learns that move at level 9. Obviously the move isn't OP since it scales with how heavy your opponent's Pokemon is, but can punish those that have already evolved their Pokemon or are using Geodude or Onix. Second is Onix, identical as the original, except at level 13 and holding an Orange Berry. Onix's stats Gym 1 are solid, and it serves a purpose being a fast rock type, helping with Stealth Rock if Bonsly didn't set it up, or debuff with Screech, getting ready for Cranidos. It's suited as a more supportive role in this team. Last out is Cranidos at level 14 with Mold Breaker, holding an Orange Berry and knows Headbutt, Pursuit and Rock Smash. Rock Smash works as a pseudo Leer while adding coverage, and it just makes sense. Literally as you find him in the mine, he shows off Rock Smash to you. Now every turn in some capacity, it'll be making use of its base 125 attack stat. Here's Roark's new team. Definitely don't need to overdo things here, it's only Gym 1 that already had some solid aspects to it. With the mix up of Bonsly and addition of Orange Berries, this team in general has some more life in it. That coupled with fighting moves helps Roark not be completely walled by anything. The grass gym leader of Eterna Gym, Gardenia. Her gym received a complete overhaul from Diamond and Pearl to Platinum. From a mini forest maze to a clock plant flower thing. Visually it definitely is nicer, but it isn't really a puzzle. Beat trainer, watch clock spin for too long, rinse and repeat. At least the maze was a maze? Look, I'm sorry, Pearl was my game as a kid, not Platinum. Let's see how her team fares. She leads with a Turtwig at level 20, with Overgrow, knowing Grass Knot, Razor Leaf, Sunny Day and Reflect. Obvious question, why is this not a Grottle? That aside, 2 competent grass stabs is reasonable, though it really should be 1 grass stab, 1 coverage move. Sunny Day strats with no move to capitalize on is sad, and the one Pokemon that does receive benefit from the sun is, well, it's dubious at best. Lastly, Reflect. I always appreciate screens, so you won't find me complaining about that. A common theme for grass types is offensively they lack coverage. Relying purely on grass stab leaves you vulnerable to its many resists. So this leads a bit underwhelming overall. Second is Cherrim at level 20, with Flower Gift, knowing Grass Knot, Magical Leaf, Leech Seed and Safeguard. Obvious question, why aren't you a Cherubi? You don't evolve until level 25, you hacker! That aside, for Gym 2 standards, a fully evolved Mon is scary. Balanced stats with good special attack and speed. Its limiting factor is grass type only offense. If Turtwig Sunny Day'd, then Cherrim's ability activates, giving it a 1.5 times multiplier in its attack, irrelevant, and special defense, relevant. If the player is using Monferno or Ponyta, they can use sun-boosted Flame Wheels that Cherrim can't protect against, and only deal resisted damage back. Overall though, it's a strong Pokemon when not fighting Grass's many resists. Her ace is Roserade at level 22, with Natural Cure, holding a Citrus Berry and knowing Grass Knot, Magical Leaf, Poison Sting, and Stun Spore. Okay, my bad, this isn't Grass type only offense. There's Poison Sting, so it's grass type only offense. That being said, it's a freaking Roserade, a Gym 2. Absurd special attack with a base 60 stab a grass move. Solid special defense and speed, mid HP in defense but completely fine by this point. Especially with that Citrus Berry backing it up. If you lack a grass resist, you will suffer, but that's kind of on you. Here's Gardenia's team. I can see why Turtwig isn't evolved. She has a Cherrim and Roserade. For Gym 2 that's tough, which is probably why they're limited to grass moves. However, we don't need to be so merciful. For starters, Turtwig evolves into Grottle, still at level 20, with Overgrow, holding a Cobra Berry, and knows Bite, Razor Leaf, Headbutt and Reflect. Instead of Grass Knot from a base 45 special attack Turtwig, Grottle has a Bite from its base 89 attack. Headbutt from Monferno and Razor Leaf is all it needs for Grass Stab at this stage. The Cobra Berry will have a flying type attack once, a common type found in the region. Second out is Cherrim at level 21, with Flower Gift, holding an Occa Berry, knowing Razor Leaf, Secret Power, Synthesis and Sunny Day. This time accounting for another of Grass's many weaknesses, Occa Berry can have a fire type attack once. With Reflect up and the berry, I did a quick calculation and a sun boosted Flame Wheel deals around a quarter, for one turn anyway. The moveset is geared towards functioning best in the sun. 50% attack boost making physical moves more effective. Secret Power is there for non-grass coverage, Synthesis heals 2/3 in the sun, and lastly Sunny Day, of course, to enable the strategy. It's time for a Roserade at level 22 with Poison Point, holding a Maghost Berry, and knowing Grass Knot, Swift, Natural Gift and Stun Spore. Swapping abilities over to get some use out of it, Grass Knot Stab, Swift as some form of coverage, and Natural Gift, which turns berries into differently typed attacks. The Magos Berry does nothing as a held item, but will turn into a 70 base power physical rock type attack, aiming for the bugs, flying and fire types out there. Here's Gardenia's new team. The Pokemon stayed the same, bar Turtwig evolving, as despite there being a handful of other grass types, they just didn't feel right for Gym 2. I mean, Tropius, Carnivine, Leafeon, Tangela, maybe? Snover? Yeah, you're not joining with Snow Warning. And I really wanted to keep Grottle for a reason I'll explain later. I was pretty keen on making the Cherrim strat work better, so I kept the team as is, with some berries to help against Grass's weakness, and in general with more cohesive movesets. Fantina, the ghost leader of Hearthome City. From her dialogue, she mixes in phrases in French, unless you're playing the French or Japanese version, in which case it's English. Now you may think she should originate from Kalos, but officially her home region is unknown. Therefore, I'm going to headcanon France is next to Kalos. Just regular France, no Pokemon or cool stuff. Interestingly, while she's Gym 3 here, in Diamond and Pearl she's the 5th leader. She's an expert in Pokemon contests where she competes in the Master Rank level. Personally, I never did the contest much, so question of the day, do you like Pokemon contests? Anyway, let's take a look at her team. She leads with Duskull at level 24, Levitating, with Shadow Sneak, Pursuit, Future Sight and Will-O-Wisp. This is sort of an odd moveset. While I appreciate the Will-O-Wisp and priority on a Pokemon as slow as this, Pursuit is not adding much, and Gen 4 Future Sight is 80 base power, 90% accurate, coming off of a base 30 special attack stat. Speaking of, in general, at this stage of the game, a 295 BST is pretty underwhelming. You can tank a hit, at best Will-O-Wisp lands before being knocked out next turn. Second out is Haunter, let's go, you love to see it. Level 24, Levitating, knowing Shadow Claw, Sucker Punch, Confuse Ray and Hypnosis. The all physical build. We're basically looking at a fast, frail, weak physical attacker that can spread confusion and sometimes sleep. Now, Fantina's TM is Shadow Claw, and, well, Haunter or Gengar are the only ghost types in the region that can learn this. This'll be fun to rework. Her ace is Mismagius at level 26 with Levitate, holding a Citrus Berry, knowing Shadow Ball, Psybeam, Magical Leaf and Confuse Ray. Now, this is a strong ace. Great stats, strong stab, decent coverage, you can't mess around with this one. Best bet, bring a Ghost Resist, or you will struggle. Here's Fantina's team. It's kinda cool she goes from a baby to mid-stage to fully evolved, though for the most part it's just the Mismagius that's a proper threat. A great ace that makes the rest of her team feel underwhelming. Let's see if we can let her other Pokemon share some of the spotlight. Her new lead will be Drifloon at level 25 with Aftermath, holding a Citrus Berry and knowing Shadow Ball, Air Cutter, Silver Wind and Stockpile. The idea here is to tank a hit, Stockpile to increase both defenses, and have the Citrus Berry activate, healing off some of the damage, with Unburden activating to double its speed upon consuming the berry. Turn 2, you're looking at a +1 defense, special defense and speed lead. Of course, the AI doesn't have to do this, which is why its other 3 moves are either decent stab attacks or Silver Wind for dark types, and it's pretty fitting for a balloon Pokemon. Also, Omni boosting moves are cool. Basically, this fella has several ways to raise its stats quickly to close the gap from still being unevolved. I am a sucker for unevolved Pokemon being stacked to keep up later than they should, after all. Second out is Haunter, it's level 25, Levitating, holding a wide lens, and knowing Shadow Claw, Dark Pulse, Icy Wind and Hypnosis. We've kept Shadow Claw to have some TM rep in our gym, Icy Wind for speed control, though Fantina's team is generally pretty fast anyway, to complement the outspeeding with its 20% flinch chance. Lastly, Hypnosis. I do appreciate ghost types with their abundant use of stats moves, and the wide lens will make Hypnosis a bit more consistent. Also, her Icy Wind won't miss now. Her ace is Mismagius at level 26, Levitating, holding a Citrus Berry, and knowing Shadow Ball, Magical Leaf, Psybeam and Will-O-Wisp. The only change is swapping Confuse Ray to Will-O-Wisp. Mismagius' main weak point is the mediocre defense stat, so patching it up by spreading burns sounds good to me. In terms of level and moveset, Game Freak did a pretty good job of Mismagius, so yeah, no need to overdo it. Here's Fantina's team. It felt like Game Freak realised they cooked with Mismagius, so made the rest of her team underwhelming to compensate. But now, her whole team has been given the same treatment. It's weird they gave her Shadow Claw when the only ghost type to learn it in the game is Haunter, but hey, Game Freak are just beyond my comprehension. Maylene, the fighting gym leader of Veilstone City. The place with the game corner and department store, with TMs like Fire Blast and Focus Blast if you have the money of course. Or the Iron Will to withstand the game corner, which Maylene's father apparently frequents. Let's get right into this and see how her team stacks up. She leads with Meditite at level 28, with Pure Power, knowing Drain Punch, Confusion, Fake Out and Rock Tomb. Okay, right off the bat, this thing has awful stats for this point, except that attack stat, base 40, crunches some numbers, Maylene's Pokemon have 24 IVs, Brave Nature, it's essentially base 116, so Meditite's BST is more like 356. Still not great though. The moveset is mid, Fake Out, that's fine, free chip. Rock Tomb, inaccurate, but is nice for some speed control and to deal with flying types. Confusion from its low special attack just isn't worth it. And Drain Punch, yeah, that's fair enough stab for Gym 4. I just wish they pushed this onion further, considering it's weak for Gym 4 standards. Second out is Machoke at level 29, with the Guts ability, knowing Karate Chop, Rock Tomb, Strength and Focus Energy. Weak stab, Strength is okay, Rock Tomb is fine for the same reasons, and Focus Energy, well, it's nice it synergizes with Karate Chop at least. I'm not too impressed, especially since in Diamond and Pearl it had Brick Break instead. Last out is Lucario at level 32, with Steadfast, knowing Drain Punch, Metal Claw, Bone Rush and Force Palm. The stats and typing are awesome. The moveset has good coverage, such as Bone Rush for fire types, and while I like Force Palm's 30% paralysis chance, Maylene has doubled up on 60 base power fighting moves here. Also, no Citrus Berry? Gym 3 and 5 have one on their ace, why not here? My only guess is that, in the code, Maylene's Pokemon have very high IVs, 24 across the board, compared to Gym 3's 12, and Gym 5's 18s. I thought that was a mistake, but maybe it was all intentional balancing? Impossible to know for sure. Either way, I'd call this ace decent, and quite scary in the right matchup. Here's Maylene's team. I get a similar sense to Fantina's team here. Her ace is great, but the rest of her team are lacking, using a baby and mid-stage with underwhelming movesets. Let's see what we can do for her then. First out is still Meditite at level 29, with Pure Power, holding a Muscle Band, knowing Drain Punch, Zen Headbutt, Ice Punch and Fake Out. Sure, this Pokemon is easy to KO, but with good stabs, coverage like Ice Punch for flyers, it's all about dealing damage, with essentially base 160 attack, and all moves dealing 10% more damage thanks to its Muscle Band. This Pokemon can't be slept on. Second will be Heracross at level 30, with Guts holding a Payapa Berry and knowing Brick Break, Night Slash, Rock Tomb and Strength. With its solid stats, and Hell Berry having a Psychic type attack once, it should easily be able to tank hit from any Psychics. Retaliate with Night Slash, or if not facing a Psychic type, then Rock Tomb for fire and flying types. Brick Break for high damage and Strength is a more neutral, basic option. Third, and you're gonna hate me for this one, but I can't help myself, it's Machamp at level 31, with no guard ability holding Wise Glasses? Oh no. Its moveset is Focus Blast, Fire Blast, Vacuum Wave and Focus Energy. Don't click off, let me cook. Machamp at this stage is pretty powerful, especially as this isn't even the ace. To compensate for that, we have a full special build. Base 65 special attack isn't great, but with how high in base power these moves are, along with the Wise Glass's 10% power boost, it helps compensate for that. And firefighting offense is really solid. Lastly, Focus Energy to further make this thing's damage legitimate. Just consider yourselves lucky, as I was going to give this guy Trick, but that's only an option in Heart Gold Soul Silver. The justification for these moves, her father won big at the game corner and got her these TMs as a gift. Her ace Lucario is at level 32, with Steadfast, holding a black belt, it knows Drain Punch, Bullet Punch, Bone Rush and Bulk Up. It's a 3 attack setup sweeper with recovery, priority and coverage. The black belt will boost her Drain Punches, which also in turn boosts the amount of HP drained. Straightforward but effective ace. Here's her new team, which is about pure, high-powered offense, with ways to deal with fighting's weaknesses. I'll admit, with the Machamp, it's rather out of the blue, but I'm only human, and it sounds too fun. And I genuinely think for Gym 4, it's a reasonable challenge. Crash Awake, the water-type gym leader of Pastoria City, a wrestler on the side, where if you interact with the TV sometimes on the Pokemon Variety Hour channel, you can catch one of his matches, which he always wins. So we have a wrestler water-type gym leader, and in Hoenn they have a surfing fighting-type gym leader. These two break the mold in that your profession doesn't need to define the Pokemon type you specialize in. Let's see what his team consists of. He leads with Gyarados at level 33 with Intimidate, knowing Waterfall, Brine, Bite and Twister. Gen 4 Gary is legit. Intimidate, awesome. Physical water move in Waterfall is also awesome. Now Brine. It's his gym TM, but with base 60 special attack, it's nothing too impressive, though can still grab KOs when at full 130 base power. Bite is okay coverage, and Twister, don't even talk to me about it. Overall, this lead should just spam Waterfall 9 times out of 10, and Bite the other 1 time. I'd ask why it doesn't have Crunch, but Gary could never learn Crunch until X and Y, which surprised me. Second is Quagsire at level 34, with Damp, knowing Water Pulse, Mudshot, Rock Tomb and Yawn. Amazing type combo, an answer to electric types, 4 times weak to grass, but at least Gary was neutral to them. I know people love Quagsire, but the base stat total is a bit underwhelming, especially as it's primarily using special attacks. If you're using a lower BST Mon, you better make full use of its better stats. 2 moves lowering speed is nice, but Quagsire is so slow, it's likely to need at least 2 speed drops before it can outspeed things. And for Yawn, yeah, I don't know, it's okay, I'm just not really feeling this moveset. Also, for some reason, Quagsire is so dark in Platinum. Throughout the Gen 4 games, they really struggled getting his colouring right. Too bright, too dark, about right. Last out is Floatzel at level 37 with Swift Swim, holding a Citrus Berry, knowing Brine, Crunch, Ice Fang and Aqua Jet. You've won me back, a solid BST, fast mixed attacker, decent coverage, and Ice Fang is great for grass types, especially Torterra users with it being 4 times weak. It's also at a very high level. I recall typically being underleveled at this point in the game. To be honest, it's a big level jump from his first 2 team members. So really the only issue here is that it doesn't have a simple, high power stab attack that isn't conditional like Brine is. Aside from that though, I like it. Here's Wake's team. I appreciate the attempt at his team members countering electric and grass to a degree, though that needs scaling up, unlike his levels which are already pushing it. There's always plenty of water types, so let's see what he ends up with. His new lead, this may surprise folks, is Lumineon at level 34 with Swift Swim, holding a Damp Rock, and it knows Surf, Ice Beam, U-Turn and Rain Dance. I know a lot of people consider Lumineon to be trash, but hear me out. First of all, Wake uses one in the Pokemon Adventures manga, and his Black and White 2 World Tournament team, so it's not out of character. And with a 460 BST and no awful stat across the board, it being a lead rain setter sounds good to me. With a high power Stab Surf, boosted by the rain, that should do decent damage. Ice Beam for grass types, and U-Turn to a more offensively leaning Pokemon to capitalize on the rain, which lasts 8 turns thanks to the Damp Rock. Second is Gyarados at level 35, with Intimidate, holding a Wakan Berry, knowing Waterfall, Ice Fang, Earthquake and Brine. The Wakan Berry will have an electric type attack once, which thanks to Gary's solid defenses, it'll probably tank a hit now. Ice Fang for grass types, Earthquake to destroy electrics, and honestly I kept Brine there to make sure he has some representation of his gym TM. Third is Gastrodon at level 36, with Sticky Hold, holding a Rindo Berry, knowing Brine, Earthquake, Ice Beam and Yawn. Same typing as Quagsire, better stats, it can function as a good mixed attacker, stopping any electric types from sweeping. Ice Beam to counter attack any grass types, and thanks to its bulk and Rindo Berry having a grass type attack, it can likely tank hit from them now. Lastly, Yawn. Quagsire had it, but Gastrodon can utilize it more effectively. Floatzel last at level 37 with Swift Swim, holding a Muscle Band and knowing Waterfall, Ice Fang, Brick Break and Aqua Jet. If the rain is still up, then you have an incredibly fast and strong Waterfall spammer. 20% flinch, don't forget. I remember the Muscle Band will make every attack hit 10% harder. The only changes to this moveset is no more Brine, and instead of Crunch, we have Brick Break, which I feel makes more sense for Wake's whole wrestler persona. Here's Wake's new team, utilizing Rain, a bevy of ice attacks, berries to reduce damage on his 4 times weakness Pokemon, and in general moveset upgrades, his team will be a force to reckon with. No need to increase his aces levels, but the rest of his team have closed the margin slightly. Byron, the Steel-type leader of Candice City. He's Roark's father, you can see the resemblance, except he doesn't look like a nerd. Apparently he had asked Riley to become a gym leader, the guy you team up with on Iron Island, but he believed Roark should be considered first. Nepotism encouraged by everyone in this world. I quite liked Roark's team, will Byron's be the same? Well, he leads with a Magneton level 37. It knows Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, Tri-Attack and Metal Sound. Great stats, typing and moveset. Not much to complain about aside from, I wish it were a Magnezone. Solid start. Second out is Steelix at level 38, with the Rock Head ability, knowing Flash Cannon, Earthquake, Ice Fang, and Sandstorm. Bit of a mixed bag here. Steelix itself is a fine addition. Stats are good, amazing defense, Earthquake is obviously peak, and deals with fire types. Ice Fang is so-so, but sure. Sandstorm, fine. But why, oh why, does Steelix use Flash Cannon? It's because that's his gym TM. But come on, base 55 special attack. In Diamond and Pearl, this Steelix uses Gyro Ball, an incredible move on the slow as a slug Steelix. It has EQ, so it's still fine, but there's a lot of wasted potential here. Lastly, his ace is level 41 Bastiodon, with Sturdy, holding a Citrus Berry, and knowing Metal Burst, Stone Edge, Iron Defense, and Taunt. I do appreciate that his son has the Skull Fossil Pokemon, and he has the Armor Fossil Pokemon, counterparts that you find by mining in the Sinnoh underground. But Bastiodon itself has flaws. Defensive stats, but deceptively a Rock and Steel type isn't good defensively. Don't get me wrong, they have a lot of resists, but the few weaknesses they do have are common and hit hard, especially as you should have the Drain Punch and Brine TM. Also Surf. I actually have a soft spot for Metal Burst. It's basically Counter and Mirror Coat rolled into one, except it only deals back 1.5 times the damage. And it doesn't have negative priority, which doesn't really matter for Bastiodon. Stone Edge at least is a high power attack, but with base 52 attack, well, it's not great, but it's about all it can do. Taunt, I get it. It's an attempt to synergize with Metal Burst. Just Bastiodon doesn't have the luxury to be taunting, Iron defending, when the player is likely to be spamming some quad effective attack. Here's Byron's team, and like how Roark baits you into thinking it's a bog standard Rock Gym Leader, Byron feels like he's baiting you to think it's a Jasmine fight. Even if that's not intentional, I'm choosing to draw those parallels. To that end, yeah, it's cool having father and son rocking the fossil Pokemon, but I think his ace may be the most underwhelming we've seen thus far in Sinnoh. That along with Magneton and Steelix having obvious potential to grow, there are some easy ways we can improve his team. Well, Byron now leads with Bronzong at level 39, with Levitate holding an Ockerberry and knowing Psychic, Jarable, Earthquake, and Stealth Rock. Step aside Spiritomb, the cooler, no weakness Pokemon is here, at least for one turn, thanks to the Ockerberry having a fire type attack. We have Stab Psychic for fighting types, Earthquake for fire, and slow Jarable to deal heavy damage. Lastly, Stealth Rock. I always like an entry hazard lead, and it circles back nicely to the fact that Byron is Roark's father. Seems he's learned a thing or two from his son. Second out is Magnezone at level 40, with Magnet Pull, holding a Shuka Berry and knowing Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, Tri-Attack and Thunder Wave. So the changes from Magneton are Shuka Berry to half a super effective ground attack, which, thanks to Magnezone's stats, it can definitely tank. And just in general, look at the stat increase from Magneton, all at the cost of minus 10 speed. The moveset itself was already fine, Dual Stab and Tri-Attack. Lastly, Thunder Wave, as I don't think Metal Sound is really needed given how high the special attack stat of Magnezone is, and it's always good to have a status spreader somewhere on the team. Third out is Empoleon at level 41, with Torrent holding a Choppleberry with Surf, Flash Cannon, Drill Peck and Agility. I had to add Empoleon. Gardenia has Grottle, Flint has Infernape. It just feels right that some boss uses the Piplup line. It's a great addition with an amazing typing. Seriously, 11 resists, 1 immunity, all for only 3 weaknesses. Has a great special attack, Surf can deal with ground types, Drill Peck can deal with fighting types, Empoleon has better attack than you might think at base 86 as well. Also, Drill, like the thing you do when you mine, there's layers to this folks, and the Choppleberry further helps against fighters. Lastly, Agility as Byron's team is on the slower side, and at base 60 after just 1 Agility, Empoleon probably outspeeds everything the player could have. Bastiodon outlast, and I'll be honest, I struggled to figure out what I wanted to do with this fella. I even looked at Smogon for some inspiration, but all these sets kinda require human input to use correctly. Let's see what we can do. It's level 42 with Sturdy, holding a Chesterberry and knowing Iron Head, Stone Edge, Metal Burst and Rest. 2 powerful stabs to deal some damage. Metal Burst can be good if it manages to tank a 4 times weakness, guaranteeing a KO back. And Rest, I mean, this is probably a pipe dream, but with Chesterberry, the idea is to fully recover to get another Metal Burst in the future. This set I'm not exactly content with, but I really don't know what Bastion could use that would work better. Here's Byron's team. Magneton evolved, Empoleon added, the no weakness Bronzong over Steelix as it helps deal with Steel's bad matchups better. Also, he used a Bronzor in Diamond and Pearl. I like to keep the original aces around, though this is a rare instance where I'd have preferred to change it. But we have twice the reason to keep Bastiodon, thanks to it being the counterpart to Roark's Cranidos. Still, his team sports stronger movesets overall with good use of berries to make up for his type's shortcomings. Candice, the Ice Gym Leader of Snow Point City. I really like the music in this place, the nighttime version specifically. Quick question of the day, do you have a favourite town or city theme? I think for me it has to be the Village Bridge theme. And Lucanosa Town from Black and White. Anyway, let's get to it. She leads with Sneasel at level 40, with a keen eye, knowing Feint Attack, Ice Shard, Slash and Aerial Ace. Common Sneasel moment, using mid-base power attacks. Its stats are okay, but it really could be a Weavile. Come on, it's a new evolution in this game. Second out is Piloswine at level 40. It's Oblivious, knowing Hail, Earthquake, Stone Edge and Avalanche. Again, could be a Mamoswine here. We're at level 40 now, most people's teams will be fully evolved. So the good is Earthquake and Stone Edge are great attacks. Avalanche in the hands of a slow Ice type works just fine. You're going second anyway, so you basically have 120 base power, 100% accurate Ice move with no downside. Lastly, Hail. I would praise this if it weren't for her next Pokemon. In fact, this is sort of anti-synergy. So overall, Piloswine is just okay. Third out is Abomasnow at level 42 with Snow Warning, knowing Wood Hammer, Focus Blast, Water Pulse and Avalanche. Okay, so this is what I mean with Hail anti-synergy. Using Hail, the move lasts 5 turns only. Switching into a Snow Warning user means Hail will last forever. Abomasnow ideally should lead, which in Diamond and Pearl, she leads with a Snover. Abomasnow has an interesting stat distribution. Mixed attacker, okay-ish defense, on the slower side, and oh my goodness, those weaknesses. 7. There are 6 type combos that can have that many weaknesses, 3 of which are part grass. So normally I'd mock this weird choice of Water Pulse, but really, Abomasnow is 4 times weak to fire moves, so at least it has something, and Stab, Wood Hammer, and Avalanche are decent. Focus Blast though? Well, it's good against Rock and Steel, sure. Just about any coverage you give this guy will help against at least one of its weaknesses. All that being said, the main appeal here is the Auto Infinite Hail. Little late in her lineup, but hey, it's in time for her last Pokemon, which is Frostlass at level 44, with Snowcloak, holding a Citrus Berry, knowing Shadow Ball, Blizzard, Psychic and Double Team. Imagine the Hail is up. They have 100% accurate Blizzards. You have 80% your regular moves accuracy. As a little pea-brain kid, this struck fear into my heart, especially as she can compound her dodging with Double Team. Nowadays I'd either muscle through it cause I'm tough, or teach a weather TM like Sunny Day before fighting her. My heart goes out to all of you that have lost because you missed 10 turns in a row. Here's Candice's team. I do appreciate each of her Pokemon having a different secondary type. For Ice, that's especially important as by themselves they only resist Ice. Her lead 2 Pokemon are just okay. Abomasnow setting up the Hail and having great coverage is cool, but it's likely you'll have something super effective to 1 or 2 shot it. The real star is Frostlass. Ill-equipped players may be pushed to their breaking point if RNG doesn't favour them. Maybe I should give her Bright Powder in this rework. Let's see how nasty I'm feeling. Candice is now going to lead with Abomasnow. Who could have possibly seen this coming? It's level 40 with Snow Warning, holding a Life Orb and knowing Wood Hammer, Blizzard, Ice Shard and Earthquake. It seems reasonable that the Hail setter actually has Blizzard to capitalise on it. Ice Shard for some priority, and instead of relying on Water Pulse, it gets Earthquake. There's no levitating or flying fire types in this region anyway. With Life Orb, as let's be real, this thing doesn't need the HP with how exploitable it is anyway. Now all of its attacks can deal 30% more damage. And while still being one-shot by any fire attack, its main job is to set up Infinite Hail for the rest of Candice's team to exploit. Out second is Weavile at level 41, with Pressure, holding a Scope Lens, knowing Night Slash, Ice Punch, Ice Shard and Aerial Ace. Upgrading Feint Attack to Night Slash, with Scope Lens, gives this move a 1 in 4 chance to crit. Strong Stab in Ice Punch, Aerial Ace remains for coverage against fighting types. A fast hard hitter that can land crits more easily. Third out is Mamoswine at level 41 with the Oblivious ability, holding a Never Melt Ice and knowing Earthquake, Avalanche, Ice Shard and Rock Slide. Look, I actually want to be a bit merciful here, avoiding giving it Snowcloak. Trust me, she won't need more users. We're looking at a tank that's the strongest ice moves made even stronger with the Never Melt Ice. 144 base power Avalanche, 48 base power Ice Shards coming off of a 130 base attack stat. Fourth is Glaceon at level 42 with the Snowcloak ability, holding an Icy Rock and knowing Blizzard, Icy Wind, Water Pulse and Hail. It's an evolution, so it's got a great base stat total. And while Ice types aren't a good defensive type, at least it's on the bulkier side with no exploitable 4x weaknesses. And it has Hail just in case the player is cheeky and changes the weather, to re-enable its and Frostlass's Snowcloak ability. Speaking of, Frostlass at level 44 with Snowcloak, holding an Expert Belt, Shadow Ball, Blizzard, Wake Up Slap and Water Pulse. Frostlass has equal attack to special attack, and apparently this Frostlass is the Lonely Nature. So Wake Up Slap can be a decent option against Steel, Rock and Dark types. Water Pulse for Fire, and Shadow Ball for Ghosts. It has a super effective option for every one of its weaknesses. Since she has 2 Snow Cloak users, I didn't want to keep double team as honestly the player has plenty of chances to miss already. Let's just go for coverage against Ice's weak points. Here's Candice's new team. As mentioned, Abomasnow probably won't last long, but that's fine as the rest of her team is rather scary now and has the tools to attack its bad matchups. Her Johto Pokemon evolved and the addition of 2nd Snow Cloak using Glaceon, she won't be easy to overcome. Volkner, the electric gym leader of Sunyshore City. He's just so sad. Nobody can beat him. He's considering taking on the Elite Four because of this. Challenge run idea. Can Volkner beat the Sinnoh Elite Four? How would he beat Bertha or Cynthia's Garchomp? I don't know, but maybe there's a way. Because he's bored, he renovates his gym puzzles a lot, which turns out causes constant brownouts in the city. AKA not quite a blackout, but electrical devices struggle. He needs to be stopped. You probably went too far and caused the blackout, preventing you from making it to the city earlier. You'll be getting no sympathy from me, young man. He leads with Jolteon at level 46, with Volt Absorb, knowing Charge Beam, Thunder Wave, Iron Tail and Quick Attack. Thunder Wave Electric Stab and 2 physical attacks. Welcome back, Gen 1 OU Jolteon. Stat-wise, a great hard-hitting fast lead. But what does it do here? Fast Paralysis? Charge Beam boosts only useful for further Charge Beams? Iron Tail for Golem? Might do a clean 30%. And Quick Attack on a Pokemon with base 130 speed. The moveset leaves a lot to be desired. You said nobody could beat you, Volkner. I'm not so sure. Maybe the rest of his team are OP though. Second out is Raichu at level 46 with Static, knowing Charge Beam, Signal Beam, Focus Blast and Quick Attack. At least there's actual coverage here. While still lacking a strong Electric Stab, Signal Beam is a good choice, giving Raichu a way to hit grass types. Focus Blast, yeah, it's risky, but it's better than Iron Tail. It actually threatens those rock ground types at least. Lastly, Quick Attack again. Given Raichu's speed, it's not really needed, but at least it's got decent attack to use the move. So overall, a stronger moveset, though Raichu's stats in general are a bit worse than Jolteon's. Third is Luxray at level 48, with the Rivalry ability, knowing Thunderfang, Ice Fang, Fire Fang and Crunch. A mixed bag here. Having all the Elemental Fangs is cool, I like it, though their base powers are all very mid. The Rivalry ability is a double-edged sword, and it would be far more beneficial if it had just been Intimidate. I'm not going to rag on over the lack of amazing Electric Stab, because for Luxray, it's either Spark, Thunderfang, or Thunderbolt with its less impressive special attack. We've all seen it, Luxray is probably the most common Pokemon talked about when it comes to fixing bad Pokemon. Maybe I'll do a video on that someday. If so, I'm tempted to make the thumbnail this, purely because Twitter would have a field day with it. Like they did when they found Whoop's video on the topic. Anyway, we all know Luxray's flaws here. In-game, it's not the same of course, but still, we all want to see it be better. Last out was Electivire at level 50 with Motor Drive, holding a Citrus Berry, and knows Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, Giga Impact and Quick Attack. Let's go! Quick Attack gamers, rise up! Look, Electivire is pretty cool, amazing stats, amazing coverage, not quite on display here, but hey, this is the strongest Electric Stab Volkner is using. Fire Punch for grass types is appreciated, Giga Impact, though it always just saddens me a little, seeing this and Hyper Beam being used without Stab, and spending a turn to recharge is asking to lose. Lastly, Quick Attack. I mean, hey, best value here with the highest attack stat and lowest speed of the other Quick Attack users. But this is at the cost of Electivire's impressive other attacks, so the potential feels wasted. There's something else I need to share with you all. Every trainer's Pokemon have set IV values that are the same across the board. For example, Roark's Cranidos has 6 HP, 6 attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. Byron's Steelix is 24, 24, 24, 24. It's just how this game codes in IVs. However, I have 2 different sources telling me Electivire is different. This website claims it has 23 across the board, 7 less than all of Volkner's other Pokemon, despite being his ace. And this website claims they have 4 HP, 3 attack, 29 defense, 18 special attack, 15 defense, and 19 speed. What have they done to my boy here? I had to check this out with some ROM editing software, and his Pokemon have a DV stat of 250, but Electivire's is 196, which the value is a bit confusing, but this to me suggests it's 23 across the board. Fellas, can we get a verification on what Electivire's IVs well and truly are? I need to know this. I can't sleep at night anymore. Here's Volkner's team, somehow never losing. I guess nobody has realised just spam Earthquake on him. The main issues I see are lack of strong reliable Electric Stab, all mono electric, and while there's coverage, it's not the best. Look, it's better than his Diamond and Pearl version where he was using Shockwave Ambipom, and this Octillery set. But still, I think Volkner could do a lot better. In fact, we're going to make this one a double battle. Lore reasons, basically Volkner is mixing up the battle format to alleviate a bit of the boredom. He still leads with Jolteon at level 47, with Volt Absorb, holding a Shuka Berry, and knowing Charge Beam, Thunderbolt, Signal Beam and Thunder Wave. We really don't need to keep physical Jolteon around in Gen 4. Instead, we've complemented Charge Beam's use with powerful T-Bolts, and Signal Beam coverage for grass types. The Shuka Berry halving damage from a ground attack should give it a fighting chance against them now as well. Jolteon's lead partner will be Rotom Wash at level 50 with Levitate, holding the Light Clay, and it knows Hydro Pump, Discharge, Light Screen and Reflect. Okay, so a few things to note. Gen 4 Rotom forms are still Electric Ghost, so no stab on Hydro Pump, but it's mainly there as a super effective option on ground types. And with Levitate, it is immune to any ground attacks. For Discharge, it targets both opposing Pokemon, and with a 30% paralyzed chance, every time it's used, it's basically 1 in 2 odds one of the player's Pokemon will be afflicted. Also, it targets their partner Pokemon, but since Jolteon has Volt Absorb, that means it gets a free 25% heal. Lastly, due to Rotom's great typing and bulky stats, it can serve as a good screen setter, turning his originally frail team into quite the tanks. The Light Clay item will make these screens last 8 turns instead of 5, ensuring they'll be active for most of the battle. Third out is Luxray at level 48 with Intimidate, holding a White Herb and knowing Thunderbolt, Fire Fang, Ice Fang and Superpower. Intimidate in doubles is incredibly powerful. Now, fun side effect of doing this means every other trainer with Luxray goes from Rivalry to Intimidate, but I'm sure you can handle that. But yeah, just an interesting way DPP is coded, I had to mention. Anyways, we have Fire Fang for coverage, Superpower to help against the rock grounds, and generally is just a strong attack with a lot of super effective targets. White Herb guaranteeing it can use this move once, free of charge. Lastly, Thunderbolt, as honestly the base power increase is better than using mid Thunderfang or Spark, and is unaffected by the attack drop of Superpower. Fourth out is Raichu at level 49 with Static, holding a Magnet, and it knows Charge Beam, Discharge, Grass Knot and Volt Tackle. Raichu might as well make use of the only high base power physical electric move in the game, and Charge Beam stays as I wanted a bit more Charge Beam rep, since it's his gym TM. Discharge again could come in useful considering Electivire, and Grass Knot for those bulky grounds. Considering this is an electric heavy moveset, we've equipped him with the Magnet. Finally, here comes Electivire at level 51 with Motor Drive, holding Expert Belt, Ivy's now 30 across the board, and it knows Thunder Punch, Cross Chop, Ice Punch and Fire Punch, going all in with its coverage. Expert Belt, as honestly the super effective potential is nuts. And just imagine if it gets discharged. Motor Drive giving it a +1 speed means it should outspeed everything. Here's Volkner's new team. It may be pushing it a bit, but this is Gym 8 and I was quite eager to try a double battle strategy. With every electric type in Sinnoh being monotype except for Rotom, it gives the team more breathing room to support each other with this limitation. Countering ground types is something not every electric gym leader can easily do. Surge, Watson, but here in Gen 4, Gym 8, well, they've now got a chance. Discharge could possibly backfire if it lands on Luxray or Raichu, but that's part of the risk of running the strategy. Volkner, just use your big brain and don't discharge your own teammates and get them paralyzed. That's it for fixing Sinnoh's gym leaders. Most had a lot of good qualities before the rework, which was really nice to discuss, but we can always take the difficulty to the next level. If you've made it this far, I hope you've enjoyed. It's been a blast coming back to the series after a few months away. Maybe not next video, but next in the series, we'll be looking at Sinnoh Elite 4 and the champion. Hope to see you all there. Have a good day. Bye everyone.